What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist here with
Gersh1,
and we're back at it to answer your questions in another episode of For the Greater
War. This is a video series where we answer the questions left by you, the viewer. If you have a question for us, simply comment down below. Put question in front of your question because we get to those questions first.
And this first question is by none other than the Tech Priest. Do you guys think that the Tau Empire and the Farsight Enclaves will ever have a full-on war? And what do you guys think would be the repercussions if Farsight did happen to win this conflict?
So is the Tau storyline ever going to be continued?
Basically, yeah. I don't think so, because when the what campaign was it? Oh, I forgot what campaign it was. But anyway, it was a campaign where the Tau were expanding out and they got heavy resistance with the Skitarii, the Raven Guard, and the White Scars, and they were basically at a stalemate. But then the Tau pushed and took control of a planet. That's because the Imperium had to fall back because the Tyranids were attacking. But once the Tyranid threat was over, they came in full force to take that planet back, and they were saved all thanks to Farsight. So Farsight did end up saving the Tau Empire at that point. However, the Ethereals in command still said that it was, Farsight was a renegade. You gotta hunt him, And the actual war leader at the time, Shadow Sun, she actually gave him information to say, hey, we're about to go catch you. You got 10 minutes to get out of this planet or something like that. So because of this, the Tau themselves, like the Firecast, they see him as a war hero. They know he saved them, but it's the Ethereal cast, the ones in control, that are pinning him out to be the bad guy. So because of this, I don't think there will be a full-out war. However, I do see a lot of the Tau defecting over to the Enclaves, and then those Tau would have a majority of the power, since it's mostly the armies of the Tau, and then they'll probably take over the Ethereals somehow. I don't know exactly what, because it's all speculation that the Ethereals have some type of mind control, pheromone control, that kind of thing.
How heretical would it be to have one of the Primarchs, like Jagatai Khan or even Vulcan or somebody like that, to ally themselves with the Tau or with the Farsight Enclaves? Is that possible?
I mean, it's a possibility, but I don't see why. Because I don't think the Primarchs or the Imperium would gain anything from taking out the Ethereals.
Because you're taking out their leader, though.
Right, you're taking out the leaders, but then the new leader would come up, which would probably be either Shadow Sun or Farsight. And still...
Because it seems to me like whenever you progress the story, the progression of the story somehow ties back to the Imperium,
right.
Like Gilman and the Eldar giving birth to Ennead, right?
Yeah.
Or the Incarn or whatever. So with, I think, the Tau and the expansion of their storyline, I think it would have to somehow tie into what's going on in the Imperium. I think the best way to do that would be like some type of alliance or some type of like conflict with a Primarch returning and fighting the Tau. Mm-hmm. And since we've already seen the Raven Guard fight the Tau, maybe even, what's his name, Corvus Corax, coming back and being like, it turns out that this demon sword that Fulgrim has had forever, Farsight is going to affect us somehow.
Right.
I thought Fulgrim, because Fulgrim has that other demon sword.
He does have that other one, right?
So yeah, I hope somehow it ties into it.
Yeah.
But no civil war.
No.
Okay. Next question comes from Space Wolf. If the Flesh Terrors defeat a Victorum of Plague Marines, do they still drink their blood and eat their flesh? That has been unhygienic, even for Space Marines.
No. Because that's just saying, you know what, I give in to Nurgle, let me drink all this, like, pus, blood. Yeah.
That's gross.
That is gross.
Next question.
Epic Reckless. So, if Imperial Knights are piloted by normal humans, and Dreadnoughts are gene-enhanced super demigods, why would a Dreadnought lose that fight? So you're saying a Dreadnought has a super Space Marine in it, an Imperial Knight just has a regular human. Why wouldn't the Astarte beat the regular human, even though they're just piloting, suits?
The weapon.
Mm-hmm.
The weapon war gear. Or their war gear and weapons. So even though skill plays a big part, at the end of the day, the guy with the quicker, better gun is going to win.
And not just that, but Knights generally have void shields or some type of shielding. Usually Dreadnoughts don't. Well, they do, but it's not as powerful as the Void Shield.
How much is a Void Shield? What does it give you? A 2+ armor save?
I think it's like a 4+, something like that.
How much is a Dreadnought? 3+?
5 up.
Oh, 5 up? Yeah, okay.
At least if I remember correctly. I know 8th edition's like kind of muddled everything that I used to know.
Yeah. Next question comes from God Emperor of Anti-Meme Kind. Is it possible that 40K and Age of Sigmar universe connected through the warp? Yes. There's a theory that Sigmar himself is one of the lost Primarchs who was sent back in time, or something like that.
Parallel universe, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that'd be pretty cool because they do have, the Forces of Chaos are the same thing. The Dark Elves could be Eldar, that kind of thing.
The Warhammer world might be a demon world too.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Next question.
Cage Schultz. What do you guys think the next faction would be for a new race? My idea is a small race hunting the Tyranids that have been mostly killed off by the Tyranids.
So you're talking about squats. Because you just described the squats.
Yeah.
I hope so. I don't know though. It would have to be something with the Imperium, and I think that the way things are going, more likely than not, you're just going to see a boost of all the other factions. So you're going to see a boost of the, I think the one that needs the most right now, or the one that's probably going to get a boost, not like a codex coming out so they get extra models, but just like a boost in general, is the Skitarii Legion. Because like they have like a page worth of models and that's it. Next question.
This one's by Josh Pasilio. Will Farsight and the Enclaves ever make an alliance with Robot Girly Man? Who? Gilman.
No, but
Farsight. Farsight and his crew, would they ever ally with Gilman, which is kind of what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. The only way I could see that actually happening, I feel already passed, and that was during the Rise of the Primarch storyline, because during that part, the whole Ennead thing involved collecting the 5 Crone Swords, and you could have said that one of the Crone Swords was actually Gilliman's sword, so the Eldar had to go over to Farsight Enclave, somehow get the sword, and then resurrect, Gilliman, and then Gilliman will be like, "Oh, cool, you brought me back. Tal, you some OGs."
Probably wouldn't say that.
But that's the only thing I could think of that would have made sense. Now I have no idea.
Yeah. Next question comes from Lurk_Docs Ryan. Did a Space Marine ever have or can have children? I'm interested as I want to make a chapter who values their family. So no. Once a Space Marine is a Space Marine, like he's a Space Marine, or he doesn't have children, I should say. No wife or anything like that. The thing is that they can have families though. They can, like the families that they used to have before they became Space Marines, they can still form bonds too. A lot of Ultramarine successor chapters have that, where it's a huge honor for a regular family to have a son, Space Marine, or daughter in the future. I just want you guys to rage comment. But yeah. And
don't salamanders also have families? I want to say they do, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. There's chapters that have families, and so the time frame for a Space Marine to become a Space Marine is basically from the beginning of puberty to the end of puberty. So really, you're talking about from 11 to like 21-ish, 22. But you got to remember that like back in the day, there was like 15-year-olds who were having families. So that could still be a thing. Like you have a family, become a Space Marine for some reason, and then now you value that family. It might be even a right for that specific chapter. Like you have to have a family before you become a Space Marine. And yeah, it's kind of cool.
Rodney Stillwell. So I don't think I could go by by Lil Nay. I'm 6'5".
Oh. Yeah. No, that'd be funny. It would be a play on words.
Yeah, because like Biggie Smalls.
Exactly.
That kind of thing. But anyway, do you guys think that Vulcan will be the next Primarch to come out?
The next... No.
No, I feel like it'll probably be the Lion.
Or Sanguinius. Yeah. Because they're chapters. They have their own codexes. They have their own models. It would just make more sense for that to happen.
Right. Salamanders, obviously, that's in the entirety of the Space Marine Codex. So, I don't know. I mean, I want it to happen, but... And then he's got one more question. How the F can Drago beat Mortarion? And not only that, but he can also carve his name on his heart. When it took Gilliman a Primarch, and the Custodies and the Sisters of Silence to get Magnus back into the webway. Isn't that a little on the ridiculous side?
And the Harlequins.
Yeah, Harlequins were there too.
Yeah, don't forget about the Harlequins.
So it took a bunch of people to get Magnus just not even beaten, just pushed back into the warp. That's crazy.
You can make the argument that maybe Drago snuck up on Mortarion, and that maybe Mortarion wasn't as empowered by his Chaos God at the time of him fighting Drago compared to him fighting Gilman. Because when he was fighting Gilman, he was attacking. He got that +1 for charging, even though that's not a thing anymore, apparently.
Right. No, but yeah, Magnus is, well, if you think about it this way, Magnus the Red is a powerful Psyker. He was literally number 2 to the Emperor. So that would make sense where it would take all these guys to push Magnus back.
Is it Magnus or Mortarion?
Well, he's saying Drago can beat Mortarion.
Oh, okay.
But against Magnus, another demon Primarch. It's
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess that's clearly saying that obviously at the top of the power scaling, Magnus is above Mortarion. And Drago is up there with fucking demon Primarchs.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Next question comes from Calvin Heyman. Why is it called warp travel when they don't actually use warp travel? I'm asking this because the way the Necron ships travel seems like real warp travel. Yeah, they go into the warp, so that's why it's called warp travel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Next question.
Brandon Chu asks, currently, which is the strongest Chaos Warband outside of the Black Legion and why?
What?
So what Chaos Warband is the strongest? Besides the Black Legion, since they kind of have Abaddon. I would probably say maybe the Thousand Suns, because they got Magnus the Red kind of leading them. And
they
got
the Rubric Marines?
Rubric Marines, they got Ahriman. But then at the other side, you got the World Eaters with like the Berserkers and Angron and Karn.
I think it's tough, and the lore doesn't really make it specific because warbands fight amongst themselves a lot, and you don't really know how many of them there are.
Right. You could have some warbands that have made an allegiance with like 2 other warbands, but maybe they're just doing it to benefit themselves. It's It's chaos. It's all, you never know who's on top.
Yeah, you could say if you're trying to pick a warband that you want to collect that is the number 1 on top or whatever. Don't even bother with trying to figuring out what the lore is if you don't want to go with the Black Legion. What you should do then is pick whatever faction you find most aesthetically pleasing, and then just research the biggest warband or the most well-known warband within that specific chaos faction. So like you have for the Plague Marines, you have what are they called?
Death Guard.
Well, the Death Guard, but then you also have the Disciples of something. Disciples of Filth? I don't know, we did a 40 facts video on it. But like that's what I mean, like try to like figure out what the most well-known faction will be.
Probably not the Disciples of Filth.
No, since I don't even know their names. But yeah, those were the questions for today. If you guys have any more questions, because we do have more questions, just comment down below. We'll try to get as many done as possible. We're doing 4 videos now, so enjoy.
Yeah, and as always, guys, leave your questions down below with question before your questions, because I'm noticing that not all of you are doing it. So some of these questions are good, but we want to try to get to those first.
Yes.
And yeah, that's all we got. I'm Sound Alchemist.
Gersh 1.
We're One Mind Syndicate, and we are out of here.